I've always been a terrible cook. My dad, however, has always been a very good cook. So,
this is Bruce, who's a professional chef, and he's gonna teach me how to cook because in the next 5 days, I'm gonna challenge my dad to a cooking competition.
Bruce set up the ingredients and explained the first skill I would need to learn in order to destroy my dad in the final cooking battle: knife skills. It might seem easy, but learning to properly use a knife was way harder than I expected. I've never properly used one before since I've never really cooked before, and he explained how to support the food with my hand so I wouldn't cut my fingers off. Now today, the goal is actually to make a 3-course meal in the kitchen with Bruce. So he walked me through how to cut each of the ingredients we would need, and we slowly started to put everything together. We worked on the main dish before starting the salad, and I couldn't believe how complicated making a salad was. And this is where he explained something super interesting. Apparently, every food has a mixture of 5 different tastes: sour, sweet, salty, spicy, and bitter. In order to perfectly balance a flavor in any dish, these are the tastes that we needed to consider. We use this concept to create a vinaigrette dressing for the salad. Now this is the part I really struggled with. Watching him add all of these ingredients together blew my mind because he seemed to know exactly what he was doing. He would sample it, then add a little bit more of something. I didn't quite understand this yet, but I was hoping I would by the end. Finally, we finished making the 3-course meal: a chicken guisado, salad, and for the dessert, a tofu chocolate mousse. And it was time to try. I've never tried anything like this before, but I tasted everything and I couldn't believe how good it was. Alright, I just got back from the kitchen, and now at the end of every day, including today, I have a mini challenge. I needed to cook a meal only using fast food ingredients. Now I wasn't quite sure how to pull this off. Earlier, I asked Bruce what he would make if he had to do this challenge, and he said he would make a Salisbury steak. He also said when cooking anything new, he will reference a few different recipes, then put together a plan of action to pull it off. So I wrote down all the ingredients, and now it was time to get them.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting because I'm probably gonna have to get the patties from McDonald's or something and then be already cooked. So I'll have to figure out a way to put it together, even though it's already put together. Okay, and then we'll need to make some sort of gravy with it.
I went to several different fast food places and placed some very strange orders.
Can I get an Uncle Burger with 2 patties, please?
Do you want cheese and bacon in that?
No, can I get nothing on it? Can I get onion rings as well? Can I get 1% milk? Can I get medium fry, ketchup on the side? Can I get 5 packs of barbecue sauce?
Oh, 5 for sure.
Can I get some mushrooms and onions?
I was able to get most of the ingredients pretty easily, but some were harder than others.
Is it possible, can I get a raw egg?
Sorry, we don't sell it actually.
Is it possible to get a raw egg?
Sorry, no, we can't do that.
Is it possible, can I just get an egg, like a raw egg?
However, eventually, I'd gathered all of the ingredients I needed, including oil for cooking, and it was time to get to work.
These are the fast food ingredients.
I took the hamburger patties and tore them apart. I then separated the breadings from the onion rings to mix into the patty with an egg. For the side, I wanted Parmesan fries, so I put some oil and seasoning salt on the fries and tossed them into the oven. Meanwhile, I started to cook the meat again, but made a really bad mistake. I tried to flip it, but clearly had no idea what I was doing and threw it everywhere by accident. I did my best to piece it together, adding mushrooms and gravy and some Parmesan on the fries. Finally, I took some barbecue sauce and mixed in some ketchup, pepper, and Jack Daniel's whiskey to try and balance all of the 5 flavors that Bruce taught me about earlier. And when I tried it, the meat could have been a lot better, but the fries and barbecue sauce were pretty good. On day 2, I was back in the kitchen to learn how to cook an entirely new 3-course meal. I noticed my knife skills were looking a lot sharper, and I started to follow along with Bruce a lot faster. I still wasn't cooking in the kitchen quite on my own though. I was basically just following everything Bruce told me to do, working on the fundamentals and trying to understand just what cooking was all about. We ended up making a different chicken dish, braising it by letting it sit in a soup on a stove so the chicken would be super soft and tender. We made another salad, this one just a little bit different, but still using a very complicated vinaigrette. And finally, a very easy, no-bake cheesecake, which might have been my favorite thing ever. A graham cracker crust baked in the oven to melt in the butter, and cream cheese, whipping cream, lemon juice, vanilla, and icing sugar all blended together then set in the fridge. Now before I was able to try anything, I needed to learn about the second skill which would be important for the final battle with my dad: plating. This might seem simple, but there's a lot of very complicated mistakes that people make. You might be used to a dish that looks like this. with your meat, veggies, and salad all spread out like a triangle. Bruce showed me how to layer the dish nicely so all the foods would complement each other and add a 3D effect, making the food stand out even more. When we tried the food, it was amazing, especially the cheesecake, but now it was time for the second challenge, which was the most absurd of all.
I finished day 2 in the kitchen, and it went super well, so now it's time for the second mini challenge. For this one, I'm supposed to find 10 random people and ask them for an ingredient. Then I have to combine all 10 of those ingredients into a dish, and I can only use those 10 ingredients. So wish me luck.
I headed down to the grocery store and hoped that someone would say oil. I asked around and people were not giving me easy ingredients to work with.
Excuse me, can you name an ingredient?
Potatoes.
Can you tell me an ingredient?
Human.
Could you tell me an ingredient?
Tofu.
Shrimp. Mustard.
This one? Perfect, thanks so much. It's more mustard.
Couscous. Anything?
Anything.
Tequila. Garlic chocolate chip.
I ended up with shrimp, 2 types of mustard, potatoes, garlic, couscous, cumin, chocolate, tofu, and tequila.
These are all the ingredients, and I have no idea what to do with them.
I knew this was going to be an absolute train wreck, but I knew at least 2 things could potentially save this dish. The first thing that I knew would help me is the fact that I made a chocolate tofu mousse just yesterday. Now that one, I had more ingredients, but I was curious to see if this would work with just the chocolate and the tofu. Now for the main dish, I was going to prepare potatoes like I had earlier. However, the only thing I had to season it with was cumin. So I put on some of that and hoped it would be good since I've never tried it. The rest of the main dish was pretty much as disastrous as expected. I made a lovely shrimp and mustard sauce cooked in tequila instead of oil, and used it to top the couscous and put some shrimp on the plate. Now the second thing that I hoped would save this dish were my newfound plating skills.
The moment we've all been waiting for. We take this sauce. This is the sauce. And we will simply take this.
I worked hard to make everything look nice, remembering to have an odd number of items where possible. I gave it a try, and honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought. It was actually somewhat edible. However, I still had a lot of improvements to make before the final battle with my dad.
I finished making whatever this train wreck is, and my veganish chocolate mousse.
On day 3, it was gonna work a little bit differently. Today in the kitchen, I was gonna be cooking on my own for the first time with Bruce alongside me. So rather than just doing what I was told to do, we each would cook our own meals which we would present afterwards. 2 of the dishes at this point I've made before, the cheesecake and the salad. But today I was gonna be cooking a tenderloin where I would be learning the 3rd skill I would need for the final battle, flambeing. This one actually scared me a little bit to try. It's when you pour liquor into a pan and it flares up, making a huge flame. The first time I tried, I was nervous and shaky, and I spilled liquor outside of the pan, which could have been bad. However, Bruce helped me to slowly learn to not fear it and have trust in myself. I found that by doing it, it really helped me make decisions for myself in the kitchen and took a lot of the pressure off. I was really starting to get an appreciation for cooking. I've always put it off in my life. I never really enjoyed it since I've never been able to make anything good, and it just felt so time-consuming. I've never understood why my dad liked it so much. Growing up, he would always spend 2 to 3 hours a day in the kitchen making an amazing home-cooked meal for the family, but it never really interested me. So now I was excited to compete against my dad because I wanted to show him the new dishes I could make, and I finally understood why he enjoyed it so much. But the real test was to see if my dish was actually good. So today's mini challenge, instead of cooking a new dish, I was gonna have celebrity food reviewer Ty Bridgewater come in and review my dish.
This one's lighter. Yo, this one's crazy, bro. This one's like a crazy salad. Whoa, man. I didn't know a professional chef could do something like that. Or is this yours?
No.
Oh, damn. That's it. This one's crazy, bro. This one's nasty, man. That's alright. More cake on the inside. These potatoes are crazy.
You like them?
Oh, these are insane potatoes. What's that, rosemary?
Thyme and oregano. And salt and pepper.
Dude, these are amazing potatoes. You made these?
Yeah.
Man. This one's like, it's more rare, so it's more like chewy.
Yeah.
It's a great cheesecake though.
I was actually extremely happy with how he rated mine, but I knew I still had so much more to learn. On day 4, it was time to learn the final skill, which I'd already been unknowingly practicing. The internal clock. You see, for each of these dishes, there are a lot of things that happen at once. If you leave something on the stove or in the oven for too long, it will burn. If you put something in too early, it risks getting cold, and if you don't time things right, you can overwhelm yourself really quickly. My job today, as well as mastering all of the other skills, was to get better at building up that internal clock. When I was cutting up the vegetables, I felt faster and more controlled. The main dish today was a reverse seared steak, and the dessert was also something new. Bananas fostered on ice cream, which allowed me to practice flambeing once again. This time, I noticed I felt a lot more comfortable having the flames in front of me. Finally, it was time to plate everything, and now I was gonna learn how to properly serve. But of course, in order to do this, I would need someone to serve too. So this is where the final mini challenge comes in. This is Paul, and over the last few days, I created a profile for him on a variety of dating apps and worked to set him up on a blind date. I messaged hundreds of girls trying to figure out the best way to actually pull this off, so the date would be real with someone who would actually be interested in him, but would also let me film it.
It's a match.
And finally, I found the perfect person.
So I'm just looking to get a tablecloth right now. Gonna pick up some wine for the date, and we'll be right back there.
We then set up a room right outside the kitchen with a nice table for the both of us to sit and where I'd be serving them. And then, for the first time, they would actually meet. I introduced them and sat them down, and they quickly got to know each other. And now it was time for me to practice how to serve. So I threw on a suit, and Bruce told me what to bring out first. They started with a glass of chilled white wine, which would be paired with their salad. I was super curious to see what they thought of it.
They seem to be hitting it off. I'm proud.
We waited for them to finish their salad, then I came in to take it away. Afterwards, I brought out the main course. They seemed to love it, especially the potatoes, which I was really proud of. Then I came back out to serve them a glass of red wine to go with the reverse seared steak. And after they finished, I brought out the dessert. The bananas fostered on ice cream, which I had flambéed myself. The date was a success, and tomorrow was the final battle between me and my dad. Our mission was to create a pollo guisado main course like I made on the first day. For dessert, a cheesecake like I made on the second day. And the same salad that I made on the third. We each had 2.5 hours to make it and present it to Bruce, who would try and decide on a winner based on actual food critic experience. My dad got right to work. He seemed to have a game plan and know exactly what he was doing. And he started doing things that were so unexpected I wasn't sure what they were for. I started with the potatoes since I needed to use boiling water. I peeled and cut them, then threw them in the pot before cutting up the vegetables for the chicken dish. It felt way easier today. Everything just clicked for me. It felt so smooth and easy.
So our chicken is almost done.
I wanted to get the small stuff out of the way, so after the chicken was cooked and put in the pot, I cut up some veggies to put in the oven, which would go on the salad, then made a variety of other things. Eventually, it came time to make the vinaigrette, which I had struggled with for the last few days. I needed all the flavors to blend together. I knew I couldn't mess this up.
This is what I always mess up on, honey mustard vinaigrette.
I worked on it for a while, and when I finally tasted it, I liked it. So I moved on and hoped that Bruce would like it too.
And the cheesecake out. My first attempt at cheesecake. It's a little bit soft.
That looks really good.
Things were going super well. My internal clock had been on point and I hadn't let anything burn yet, but now it came time to make the cheesecake. I made the crust and it turned out better than I'd ever made it before. However, when I mixed all the ingredients to make the top of the cheesecake, it was way too runny and I didn't know what to do.
It'll help when it's in the fridge. I don't have much time, but we're gonna go off script. This is the last thing I need to do. This might work or it might ruin the whole thing.
The time was running out and I didn't have time to fix it. So I poured it on the crust and threw it in the freezer for the last 5 minutes, hoping it would set. I quickly scrambled to finish everything else. I was running out of time and I still had to plate everything.
Feed me garlic and call me stinky. That is good.
My dad was already done, and as the timer counted down and hit 0, I had everything except for the strawberry sauce on the cheesecake, which was going to cost me points. We presented our dishes to Bruce, and we watched as he critiqued our dishes over 5 different metrics.
Mr. Tyler and Mr. Tibor are being judged in 5 categories for presentation, taste, technique, kitchen etiquette, and timing. And so these are out of 10, highest score of 50.
He started with my dad's dish.
Tibor is going to get some points on a couple of, I'd say, bonus points right off the bat. There were things that I saw in the kitchen. Obviously, there's a gentleman who really loves food. He really loves to cook. He understands it. It's tasty. It could be brighter, or it's super savory. The prosciutto is very nice. I love that there's bread involved. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about your plating. This is the holy trinity of a plate where you have meat, vegetable, and starch. 1, 2, 3. That's a testament of our age. I think this is how we grew up. And so one of the things that I've been teaching Tyler about is how to make food a little bit more 3-dimensional. It looks delicious. You're going to take some hits on presentation for sure, although there's redemption for sure in the presentation of your cheesecake, which looks delightful.
My dad lost a couple points on the presentation, but Bruce loved his food. He ended up with a score of 45 out of 50, which made me nervous because that was a lot for me to beat. He tried my food, starting with the salad, with the vinaigrette that I had struggled on so much over the last few days.
Okay, Tyler, you nailed your vinaigrette. You nailed it this time.
And he loved it. He said I nailed it, not only the salad, but also the main dish.
Pollo guisado. Okay, presentationally, that's really cute. Not gonna find any flaw there for such a dish that's super rustic. It looks really pretty. Asparagus is perfectly cooked. You're gonna take a ding though for timing because you went just past, but that's okay. So you made it.
And despite the cheesecake being too runny, he said the flavor and presentation was on point. Now it was time for him to mark me and see who would win.
I'm really impressed with your salad. I'm really impressed with the flavors that you built, the effort to presentation to make things nice. You didn't over-herb the potatoes at all. Everything is really nicely seasoned. Our total, folks, is declared a draw at 45 and 45.
Tyler,
Good job.
congrats.
I appreciate it.
Good job for you. And
I want to try your dish though.
Oh my God, that's
I
good.
am absolutely surprised, and you blew me away, and another challenge knocked out of the park.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Sweet. Thank you.
Subscribe.